Hello everybody and welcome back. Hi, it's my first video that I'm filming after 14 days of sunscreen. There has been another video that's gone up that was pre-filmed, but this one is right after 14 days of sunscreen in my world. And as you can see, I still have my sling on. I had surgery on my shoulder over here. So I'm gonna have this sling on for a while and it's just gonna be what it is. But that means I will be using one hand and one hand only. Apologies in advance, I can't do anything about it, but it doesn't mean I can't film. So that's my little, spiel about that. So if you have not already seen the title, which I don't know why you would be watching if you haven't, today I'm going to be going over 6 different bronzing drops, bronzing potions, whatever you want to call them, SPF drops with bronzing qualities. And I'm going to be applying them to my face fully. I'm going to be showing you swatches on my arm. And then at the end of the video, I will be telling you my favorites and why, and which ones I think you could probably pass on and why. So with that said, I'm going to put them to the test. Also, I want to mention I will be applying them just directly to my face. Doesn't mean that that's the only way. A good way to do this is you can mix it in with your foundation if you are wearing something or a skin tint. You can also mix it in with a moisturizer. That's another really good way. Some people do mix it in with their SPF. I prefer to not, just because that can mess with the efficacy of the sunscreen. And some of these do have sunscreen. So there is some nuance to it, but I won't necessarily go into every method. I'm just going to be showing you them on my face as it would look if you just applied this. So just know that there are variations in different ways that you could do it. But with that said, let's zoom in and let's go. Okay, so because I only have one hand, I'm already de-potted, that's not the right word, taken off the lids for everything that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to be doing them in the same order that I did my hand swatches, and I will timestamp everything, so if you just want to see the swatch on my arm, you can see that at a certain time. But the first one that we're going to start with is the InnBeauty Face Glaze Bronze. Like I said, I've already taken the lid off of it. But this came out kind of more recently. They had their InnBeauty Face Glaze, which was just kind of a normal, I wouldn't say normal, I guess like a nondescript tone. And this one is obviously for bronzing. So with that said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply each one to my face kind of in the way that I like to wear them. So with this one, because it has a really nice kind of application method where you can get as much or as little as you want, if I am applying it directly to my face, this is how I do it. And you can also, I should mention, you can use a brush, you can use whatever you want. But today, I'm just going to be using my hand. Because I am a little disabled right now, I'm going to use the brush to blend it in. So one of my favorite ways to use all of these is if I'm doing a no makeup day. I put my skincare on, I put my sunscreen on, and then I put this, and then I put a little bit of concealer to lighten up spots. Because right now, when it's just fully bronzed, I don't know, I don't really think that's a very natural look. I mean, I guess it would be if you just let your face bronze, but I like to put a little concealer under my eyes, on my eyelids, and then the T-zone, and it kind of just highlights your face, and then this is your contour bronzer. So, like I said, this is not going to be the only way to wear it, but I just want to kind of give you some tone and kind of how it applies or what it looks like when it's applied, so that if you're looking between these 6, you can kind of make your decision that way. So this is the InnBeauty Glaze Face Glaze Bronze. Next up we have the Drunk Elephant D-Bronzi Anti-Pollution Drops. These are very, very, very popular these days, and they were probably, I think they were kind of the first ones really to come out with this. So here we go. So as I am applying these, I do want to mention that most of them do apply a little bit better when you have another ingredient. So if you're mixing it with your moisturizer, if you're mixing it with a foundation, they just tend to be a little bit easier to work with. So when I'm applying it to bare skin without anything else on, they can be like a little bit of a tug when you are applying it. So if you're wondering about that, that's kind of normal. I would say I don't normally apply it to just bare skin without anything else on. I'm just doing that for this video's sake. But in one sense that is kind of good because I don't feel like these do a lot of transfer. They are pretty much set when they are on your skin, so I don't find there's going to be a lot of transfer. So that is one good thing, but it's just something to keep in mind when you're applying it. So this is the Drunk Elephant D-Bronzi Drops. Next up we have the Chanel Beige Sheer Healthy Illuminating, what is it called? I don't remember. Sheer Healthy Glow Illuminating Fluid. You would think I would know because I've used this so many times and talked about it so many times, but apparently not. So for the Chanel one, this one has one of the nicest consistency. It blends so smoothly, it applies very nicely, and it does come in 2 shades. So some of the others are just a one and done, like that's it. This one has a lighter shade, and then this is the Sunkissed Glow, which is the deeper shade. But this one, like I said, for most of them, or for all of them, if I'm going to be wearing them alone, I will always put on some concealer and brighten up the center of my face because otherwise I just think it looks a little bit weird. But this is the Chanel Sheer Healthy Glow Illuminating Fluid. All right, the next one is a newer one. This is from Naked Sundays. This is the CabanaGlow Bronzing Drops. So out of the ones that we've tried so far, this is the first one that has any SPF. All of the next 3, so this one plus 2 more, do have SPF, whereas the first 3 did not. I think you need to shake this one even better than I shook it. Okay, so the Naked Sundays one is very fluid. I always forget about it, especially because it has that kind of packaging like the Drunk Elephant where you just kind of like can squeeze it on your face. I actually would recommend putting it on a brush or your hands first because I put it like that and I got it down onto my pants, which is not fun. And I'm wearing a white shirt, so I really shouldn't do that. But it does go on very, very smoothly. This is an SPF, and I'm going to say ahead of time for the next 2, this one and the next 2, these are most likely not going to be your SPF. They should not be. If you're using it as your sole SPF, you're not using enough SPF. You should be using this as like a topper, or maybe as you put on another sunscreen underneath and then you layer this on top for a little bit of bronze and glow. But if this is all you're putting on for SPF, I guarantee you are not putting enough on. So that's just a little word of advice. Just think of it like an SPF topper. You're getting a little extra, but this one really is quite easy to work with. It has a little bit better of a glide to it. I think the ones with SPF tend to, but not all. And it's just a nice one to really work with. So this is the Naked Sundays CabanaGlow. Next up we have the TanLuxe Super Glow Broad Spectrum Sunscreen SPF 30. Definitely have to shake this. I've had this for a while, so I've used quite a bit of it. And this one also has a dropper, but let me just give you a word of advice. This is the most potent bronzing drop I own. So I'm going to show you how much I need for my entire face. That much. It's crazy. So the best thing to do with my little GIMP hand, I will try to blend it, and then maybe I didn't get enough, but trust me, just go in drop by drop because you can already see how much pigment I have. This one is very kind of dry actually, even though it is a liquid. It is not the most easily spreadable, so either you do it with your hands one dot by dot. I forgot that like one dot doesn't really cover your face, but I do it like one dot, rub it in, make sure that I don't have too much, and then do more. Because one time I did like the entire dropper and put it on my face and it was insane. Or another great way is to use some type of brush. This is the one that I use for a lot of these because it's from, well, not because it's from Naked Sundays, but it's a good kabuki brush for this type of thing. Also, you can just kind of go back in to make sure it's all blended out. But this one gives you a very, very more like natural finish type. So you're not gonna have any glow, you're not gonna have any slipping and sliding. It is set down, and this looks really great with a little bit of concealer, just like the others in the T-zone, to kind of brighten up areas you want to brighten up. But this one has been a long time favorite of mine for obvious reasons. All right, and last up we have the Ultraviolet. This is pretty new. This is the Queen Screen Super Glow Drops Bronzing SPF 50. Again, gotta shake a lot of these up. The only one I think you don't really have to shake up would be the InnBeauty Project and the Chanel, those two. And this is another dropper, so be very, very careful and don't get it on yourself like I did. I'm gonna do it the Instagram, TikTok way, only because it's fun, but it's not really practical. And I am using my hands for all of these, but again, you can easily just use your brush. Probably not a sponge. But yeah, whatever you prefer. I will give you a word of advice. With almost every single one of these, it's so easy to go overboard. I would recommend putting on less versus more, and then you can build it up if you need to. And also, I'm probably not even following my own advice, but I would use a brush. I really think that's the way to go. Alright, that is the Queen Screen. These two are very similar to me in terms of texture, but I am going to, at the end of this, I'm going to do a screenshot of all 6 of them so you can see them side by side and see the difference in the tone, because I think what it comes down to is tone, and I'm going to get that into that more in a second, but I just want to finish up with the Ultraviolet one. So in America, this one is very hard to get. I forget how I got it. You can do different services basically where you basically buy it, they ship it to an address in Australia, whatever country you're trying to ship from, and then that company will charge you to ship it to America. So it's totally easy, like you can get around the regulations. It's just going to cost you quite a bit in shipping. But you know, since I do this for YouTube, it's kind of worth buying it. But this is another one that sets down pretty much like dry to the touch. So I do like a lot of these bronzing potions for that fact. Now, if you're mixing it in with your foundation or a moisturizer, it's gonna go with the consistency of whatever you're putting on. But I do like the fact that if I wanna do a no makeup day and just put concealer on, it's not gonna move, it's not gonna budge, which is nice, especially if you're wearing white. But I also wouldn't probably rub my face on a white shirt. I don't think it's that transfer resistant. So this one, easy to spread. Again, the more that I'm putting all of these on back to back to back, I am realizing like my hands are probably the easiest, but I think a brush would be a better way to kind of make sure you're evenly distributing it across your face. Okay guys, so I know these are only 6 and there are so many more out there. I'm not buying more, I don't need more. I'm actually probably gonna declutter kind of based off of the tones I've seen here. And I think it's a really helpful experiment to see the tones. So right now I am gonna insert that screenshot that I talked about. So it's gonna have each one with the name of the product so you can see the different tone. And I find that this is probably the best way to shop for them because the consistency, they're mostly the same. They do dry down really quickly. They are easy to set. So you also, that kind of is a pro and a con. It sets down, it's got a nice texture, it's not too runny. But it also means that it's a little harder to work with and you have to work quickly. So I would do it in sections on your face or with a brush, like I said. Even though I showed it with my hands, that's probably not the best technique now that I kind of have done it a little bit. Normally I don't do 6 in a row, and I think that's the big difference. I'm noticing when I'm doing it time and time again. The other thing to keep in mind is price. So if you're seeing one that you really like, but the price is too expensive, you know, it might be something that like you look for one with a similar tone, but a lower price tag. That said, I'm looking at all of these and they all are quite expensive. We've got Chanel, Drunk Elephant. Those are 2 very expensive brands. TanLuxe, I think this is like $45, like insane. Maybe not that much, but Ultraviolet, also very pricey. I would say the more affordable, maybe not cheap, but are these 2, the Naked Sunday and the InnBeauty Project. Naked Sundays, it's an Australian brand originally, but it's now sold in Target in America. So it should be kind of easy to get your hands on. And then of course, like the size, let's see. The size for most of these, well, we've got 1.7 fluid ounces, which is a lot. This one is only 1 ounce. Then the TAN-LUXE is 1 ounce as well. The InnBeauty product is less than an ounce. It's 0.85 or 25 milliliters, but that one does have the most unique application versus just kind of squeezing it out or a dropper. It's got this application, which is probably the cleanest out of all of them and probably the best for travel. D-Bronzi is also not bad for travel. This one is 1 fluid ounce. And then the Chanel is 1 fluid ounce. So if you're looking for the biggest and the best bang for your buck, it's definitely going to be the Naked Sundays. And then the last thing I do want to mention, I said it before and I'll say it again, the 3 that I did last, so we have the Naked Sundays, the Ultraviolet, and then the TAN-LUXE. Sorry, this hand can't go up. They are, let's see, we have SPF 50 for the Ultraviolet, and then SPF 30 for the TAN-LUXE. They're not going to give you that SPF. You have to use 1/4 teaspoon. I don't even bother trying that and testing that out because no one in their right mind would ever do that. So again, think of it as a topper, think of it as a little bonus, but make sure to wear SPF as a layer underneath or on top, however you want, but just do more SPF. Okay, and I know people are gonna ask which one is my favorite. That's really hard to, it's hard for me to say. I clearly have used this one, the Chanel, the most, and I do love it. I think it's probably the most unique out of these because it's really not meant to be bronzing. It's supposed to be illuminating, but this is the darker shade, so I use it as a bronzing product. So I do love that for that reason. I also think that the texture is really special. It's got a scent. Chanel has a scent, and I love that scent. So it gives you a more luxe experience. But then the others all kind of are the same. I do think that the D-Bronzi, for me, has a nice tone. It's just a little hard to work with. I don't love this method of application. And then I think a lot of the others, like these 2 are so similar, the bronze or the Naked Sundays and Ultraviolet. If I had to repurchase again, I probably wouldn't repurchase the TAN-LUXE. And I'm kind of on the fence about the InnBeauty Project. I use it because it's really convenient, but I'm not sure I love the like application and how it feels when it's on my face as much, and even the tone. But so it's really hard for me to say. I guess if I'm going to really have to choose, for me it would be these two, which is a surprising kind of turn of events because I always think of the D-Bronzi one as not my favorite. But yeah, I think it comes down to tone, so make sure you take a screenshot of the 6 that I screenshotted, I myself screenshotted, and you screenshot, so you can see which one might work for you. And I hope this video was helpful. So if it was, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!